light is visible. Is that a light? Another adrenal sweat. Is it light? Sure. No. Hello, everybody. Check it. Is it going? Mary Orenuga Obalum Onyoze Israel Samuel Temi Fusani Delphina Tuli Bumi Archbishop Gabriel. Hello everybody. Jide Balogun. Welcome. Nice to see you all. Well, here we go for another day today with in our program of conversation with an atheist. And even though Innocent is more an agnostic, like he said, but agnosist, but you know, he's representing the interests of atheists. So let us go ahead and invite as many people as we can. And here we are with Innocent, and I will give him the word now. Let him take over. Innocent, here you come, sir.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be with us again this Sunday. And with the amount of questions that are flowing in, I think I'm really happy to see that people are asking questions more and more about religion, about the concept of God, and to see that the question they have in their mind is being answered, is being addressed. Mm-hmm. You know, most of the times we find ourselves seated in the church where the pastors talk about certain things, probably our challenges, but there are certain questions that are yet to be addressed. Even though Dr. Sunday has a session where he allowed people to send in questions to be asked, I've listened to a lot of the questions, and I know none of the question is related. This actually is a very special program to people that are finding it hard, that are battling with their faith. So I got some commentary here by some people who sent. So I'd like to read them before we go on. Yes, sir.
Okay.
This person say, preach on, sir. Now I know I have not been rebellious as some pastors would have me to believe. I was just using my brain. We cannot be lazy. Why calling God to come and donor for us? I don't know what donor means, but
yeah, why calling on God to come and do things for us?
Okay. So this person is called Chinasa Vigil Okolo.
Yes, that is in line with my book, which says only God can save Nigeria. What a myth. That we cannot just sit down and expect God to come and resolve all the issues for us, just calling on God to come and put all the responsibilities on God, while we ourselves are not doing much about it.
That's what's special about your teaching, and I think people should check out the book. Only God Can Save Nigeria. What a myth is very important that people go on to search. So it will liberate the mind of our people. It will be a big time revolution. It's a revolution that people need to see, because people have suspended their brain. They fail to realize that God has already given us the opportunity. God has given us the power to do certain stuff. Like I read a very horrible article this morning about a certain woman who refused to visit the doctor. She wanted prayer and miracle instead so that she would get healed with breast cancer, and she ended up losing her life.
Wow.
So
yeah, for those people who don't know the book, this is the book here. Only God Can Save Nigeria. What a myth. Only God Can Save Nigeria. What a myth. That's the name of the book. That we cannot just sit down praying and hoping that God will come and save Nigeria. No, it takes Nigerians to take the right decisions, take the right steps to save the country. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's so sad that the woman died.
Yes, she lost her life. I don't know. I haven't verified the veracity of the article yet, but I think is a common occurrence.
Yeah, they are too common to be live because there are too many of such cases.
I had such case close to me too. I lost my best friend, lost his father because his name is Douglas Ahili. The father was being encouraged to take bath with salt water for him to be healed. We don't know what was actually eating him up at that time. Every effort trying to persuade the man to get medical help was proved above, and because he wouldn't listen to anything, he just wanted the church, was being brainwashed, his entire salary is being given to the prophet. So eventually he lost his life. It was very painful. So I don't have any reason to doubt this story. So understanding that what this person is saying, that he wasn't rebellious after all, that was he was listening to your explanation to what he was saying, that he's asking questions. He thought he was being rebellious because those pastors will reprimand you not to ask questions. They will not encourage you to ask questions. So he thought he was being rebellious, but right now he has seen this program. He feels happy. So, and that people don't need to wait on God. Like this other lady who died of breast cancer, and she refused to visit doctor. I asked myself, I say, these people that are refusing medical help, they forgot that God actually made these resources available for humans to exploit them. God gave the doctor the knowledge. He gave him the resources, the herbs in place. He wasn't foolish when he kept these things. Even animals acknowledge the use of herb. You see a cat, they are not herbivore. They don't eat leaves. You see dogs too, but sometimes you find them eating herbs because it will cure someone's stomach pain. If you don't know these things, you can go carry on study about it. You'll see that that carnivorous animals eat plants sometimes for medicinal purposes. So they get healing. They know that this specific plant is made to heal you when you eat it. They eat them. So why will humans refuse to eat? Why will humans refuse to make use of the available resources that God placed in our disposition for us to be able to get this healing in the name of, we prefer some kind of magic, some easy stuff to do. No, it doesn't work that way. God made these resources available, you pick them and you use them, and even if you use them, you still give glory to God who made them available for us. So this person is Chinasa Vigil Okolu. The person say, the more I consume DSS messages, the more I have ideas of problems that I can solve in this world. DSC has developed me to have global mindset. I can attest to such testimony, me too. I thought I knew it all, like I did some studies, but I thank God for the humility that God placed in me. I listen fervently to DSS teaching. There are a lot of things that have helped me to see things more clearly and to understand them now. And this person is Yola BC Olushoga. Say DSA, it is not easy. DSA, you're in level 1000 and most of us are in level 001. This person say, innocent, God loves you so much. I've walked that path before, not as much as you, but nevertheless walked in it. But the truth is a beautiful thing to the soul. And this other person say, is this innocent guy an atheist, agnostic, or why? The title of this program says Conversation with an Atheist, but he sounds like a believer and an atheist at the same time. Is he Confucianist, or am I getting it wrongly? Okay, let me just answer this quickly before we go on. I know many people are eager to hear what you say. I won't talk too much, just little. This, yes, atheism, I don't actually fancy the word atheism, and I don't. Agnostic, sometimes I describe myself as that, but I think the word free thinker is very charming. Somebody who is curious about knowledge and a lot of things. I like to describe myself as such person. I'm not static. I don't accept ideology. I don't adhere to any fixed ideology. My mind is very open to knowledge. I read variety of things, from religion to politics to economic to history to mystic books just to understand. I don't know why I'm doing it. I hope it's not very negative. I don't know why God placed that urge in me to do that. I hope it doesn't lead me to damnation. But I just found out that ever since I was growing, I had questions to ask pastors, churches. I was curious. I was very zealous about this Christianity. There was a time I was very radical. I remember there was a time I approached some Catholic priests to try to talk to them, to tell them that what they're in the wrong side of the gospel, because I was a member of this church. They called them End Time Message. It was founded by a certain prophet, an acclaimed prophet. He says his name is William Marion Graham, a very radical group of church members. DSC, you know him. So,
Yes.
So that was the idea. That was my foundation. I don't regret knowing this aspect of gospel because it helped forged my personality today. It made whom I am today. It helped me to escape drugs or joining gangs. So I remember in secondary schools and universities, some of my schoolmates were being initiated into cults, but because of the ferventness I had with religiosity, it helped me to escape some of these things. So I refused to participate in anything that will harm my life. So yes, you can call me free thinker, you can call me agnostic, you can call me somebody who is curious, but I don't like tags. I don't like to be said, I'm this fixed. No, this is my nature. I'm very flexible. And I said, if I discover tomorrow that Christianity is very important for Africa, if it will help Africa to develop economically, politically from the level where we are right now, I wouldn't mind to give my life for it. Yes, that's how pragmatic I am. And also, I had an experience with one of my relatives, a very huge personality, but who saw my post on Facebook and was very curious. He was like, wow, I like the way your intelligence. And then he went on to reveal certain stuff that he has never shared with any person, and told me that yes, this is who he has been for a very long time. So I learned from that you can actually live in it, because I have friends who claim to be atheists, but they lost their family. Some of them were being disowned by their family. Some of them, they've been accused of being possessed by witchcraft spirit. So they lost their loved ones, and people, they just hate you like that. So I don't love tags. I just like knowledge. I'm a very curious person. I'm very flexible when it comes to knowledge. I read today. So it helped me not to be indoctrinated. It helped me not to be brainwashed by. So the moment you're saying something, I'm already calculating next. If you're telling me something, I'm already having doubt in what you're saying. I don't know why it's like that. I hope it's not very negative. So, but that's how I live my life, and it helped me. It got me into trouble sometimes in the classroom because I asked teachers questions, and one of my teachers, I remember telling me that, okay, you asked so much question, I think you want to teach the class today. So the next day he came into the class and asked me to come in the middle of the class, and I was shaking. My body was shaking. Since that day, I stopped asking questions in the class. I felt like the classroom situation was weighing down on me. I didn't like how I was confined to. I couldn't express myself in the classroom. So the entire school system was very, very heavy on me. So yes, asking questions got me into trouble in the church, in schools, and so many places. So I hope it will help me to discover this light, something, whatever is pushing that urge, wherever that urge is coming in. I hope I'll be able to satisfy this someday. We have the first question is about death. And I also realized that you wrote a book about the fear, how to overcome the fear of death. So I'll read the questions, and I will encourage us to go on to search this book, to try to read it. It's very important. Last time we discussed about pastors who are telling their members that they will not die this year. No, death will not come close to any member of their family. They try to take away so they instate indirectly creating fears in people's mind, thinking that they are offering them solution. But yes, he wrote the book, How to Overcome the Fear of Death. So this particular individual wants to know what's the purpose of death according to the Bible.
Okay. First of all, I wanted to comment on what do you say, on what you said about yourself, on your status as an atheist or as an agnostic, and or what do you call free thinker?
Yes.
Free thinker. Okay. So as a free thinker, the question I will have for you is, do you, because you talk about you liking to ask questions as well?
Yes.
Okay. So if you like to ask questions, do you also like to answer questions?
That's very tricky. If I also like to answer questions, yes, I love to answer questions. Things that are clear for me, I answer them directly. Things that are not clear, I try as the best I can to say that I don't know much about it, and I'm very open to learning new stuff, which is a good aspect of my personality. I think it has helped me in several aspects. Yes, I love to answer questions. You
like to answer questions?
Yes.
Okay, because this program that we have been having for some time now is all about you challenging me. Why should I believe in Christianity, right?
Yes.
That from what you know about Christianity, it doesn't seem to be strong enough. We shouldn't be believing in this kind of God. That we shouldn't be believing in the Christian God. So what will happen if I will ask you questions in regards to your free thinking or agnostics belief?
I should talk about my belief, my stance.
What about if I'm going to ask you questions regarding them?
Yes, I'll be very happy to answer them.
Okay.
Yes.
If you don't answer, and if you cannot answer them, will you also agree to consider giving your life to Jesus? If I can answer them, or if the Bible answers them.
Of course.
If the Bible,
if I find it,
let's play on evil grounds. If I give you 10 questions and you cannot answer any of these 10 questions, but I or the Bible will answer them, would that make you to believe in the God of the Bible?
If I am fully satisfied, yes. And that's the reason why I initiated this interview with you. I was curious about your personality. I understood that you read practically most of the books that inspired me, that shaped my personality. So I was surprised when I was talking to you last week. You told me about Credo Mutua. That was the beginning of my spirituality, because his books, his writings inspired me. In the past, I didn't believe in spirituality. I was very arrogant. I just call myself an atheist. I didn't want to do anything with spirituality. In short, I say witchcraft is fake. It doesn't even exist. In short, there's nothing about spirituality. So then I got to know about his work. He tried to explain certain stuff. Then I sat down quietly, cogitated about nature. Yes. So then, if I initiated this program, is because I'm thirsty for knowledge. There's a lot of things I want to understand about life, about the Bible, about Christianity. I don't hate Christianity. I think it's a very good ideology. I think it's a lesser evil compared to Islam and the rest of the religion. I think you also tried to give me reasons why Christianity is very important. You told me that it's the only religion that offers you that God sacrifices life for you instead of you sacrificing your life for God. Those were lessons I learned throughout this interview. But I'm not sure if I'm fully convinced throughout this interview, but we're still working on it, and I have tons of questions here. Some of the questions were repetitive. I had to cancel them. I had to develop them myself. Most of the questions, I developed them. Because those were internal questions. I sit down in the night, I think, and I reason. I say, okay, what is it? What is it about? As we go on, as the interview goes, you will see some of the passages of the Bible that I've tried to understand what is behind, what inspires some of these passages. So yes, if you can ask me 10 questions and you give me the answer, and I found the answers really satisfying about death, about spirituality, about the earth, about all this stuff, and I feel really convinced, I feel really satisfied, then I don't have any reason not to. subscribe to the Christian faith.
Yeah, but if I ask you questions, it means that you will be the one to answer first, at least.
Yes.
Okay. But this question, I've written a book about it. These questions. I've written a book about it, and I wanted to ask it. I wanted to write this book and dedicate it to Stephen Hawking that just died.
Okay.
I wanted to call it 10 questions to Stephen Hawking, but I'm probably going to call it by the name of the leading atheist of my age. So whoever is going to be the living atheist by the time I publish the book is the one that is going to, I'm going to address the question to. I want to address the question, 10 questions to the all atheists of the world.
Okay.
And anybody that is doubting God. So if you are ready, we can turn the table around.
Oh, I'm ready, DSA. You are so unpredictable. I didn't know that I'll be on the hot seat today, but I'll try my best. I'm not sure. First of all, I want to warn the people that are listening to us. I'm not out to convince people to abandon their belief. I respect every person's stance about it. So long as you're comfortable and there's no fear in your belief, there's no subjugation, there's no slavery, I urge you to remain where you are. In my position, I feel very comfortable in my position right now because when I lost my faith, I lost fear of superstition. I used to have dreams, nightmares of fighting snakes and fighting demons, and I used to think it was my stepmom that was causing those harms to me. But the moment I lost my faith in Christianity and in religion particularly, I lost the spirit of fear. I no longer fear darkness. I can sleep in a very large house alone without any fear that some kind of spirit will come and strangle my neck. So I lost that aspect of fear and I became very, very happy, and I feel very, very comfortable now. I no longer wait for some spiritual, heavenly help for me to solve my problem. When I have a problem, I try to think about how to solve it practically. So yes, I won't answer to try to convince people, and I don't doubt God. I don't doubt there is a transcendent energy that governs this world. So yes, I'm ready to answer your question, DSA.
All right. So the first question I will have for you is this: who determined the country and the conditions of your birth?
That's some tricky question. Who determined the country and the condition of my birth? I'm not quite sure I can answer that.
Okay. You want me to go to the next question?
It's a very interesting question. I haven't prepared for it. I cannot say it's an accident, of course. And like I said, I do not doubt the existence of transcendent energy. I do not doubt that there are laws that govern the nature. There are laws that regiment our life. But the only problem I have is with the concept of that law. So in other words, I believe that there is a God. I don't know if he's a woman or a man. And I don't think this God has a form. I don't think this God mingle in the affairs of men. I just believe, yes, there is a law and we are following it. We happen to be black, someone happen to be white. So my country, my condition of birth, I'm not sure I can be able to answer that, but I do believe firmly that there is a law that governs nature. And the only problem I have with that law is the concept, which is the Bible, the Quran, the Torah. I don't believe they explain this law enough for me.
Okay. So if you are a free thinker or atheist,
yes,
or atheist or agnostic, so what is your role in the place of your birth, in the place and country of your birth? What was your role in determining the place and condition of your birth? What was your role in that?
There is no role. I cannot determine where I'm born. I cannot determine, just like I cannot choose my parents or the country where I was born. I found myself there. I cannot explain why I'm a Nigerian.
So
for instance.
You didn't play a role in that?
I didn't play any role in that.
Beautiful. So now, how come you think you are smart, not just you or any human being is smart enough to question the one that played a role in that?
Okay, like I said earlier on.
So that is just for you to think about. But let me ask you another question.
Yeah.
Anybody that you ever respected or anybody that ever doubted God, is there any one of them that ever played any role in determining the place and the conditions of their birth?
I doubt very much.
Okay, next point. If you are a thinking person, and I know you are a thinking person, does that now begin to open your eyes to see that we are too limited and we are too small?
That is very true. I agree to that.
So, can you now see the foolishness of doubting God and not believing in God or spirituality or whatever you call it, when we don't even know anything?
Yes, I think that's a very big mistake that most humans do, to disbelieve in God. Like I said, I do believe.
Wow. So, next question. Do you now see where the Bible says it is not just pride to say there is no God, but it's actually madness that a madman says in his heart that there is no God? It takes a madman to be so pompous and to be so self-glorifying and self-effacing to the extent of questioning something that he doesn't even know anything about, when he cannot even solve the easiest question, the easiest. How can a man begin to think that he is something of significance, and has any kind of intelligence or significance at all, when he couldn't even play a role in his own existence, in his own coming here? And now he got here, and then he's beginning to say, I went to school. So I doubt that you are even there in the first place. I wonder why he didn't doubt it when he was in the mother's womb. This is just to help you understand that I know much more better than all those books I've read. And I could help all of them. All those philosophers, all those atheists, all those agnostics, I could help them if they would be humble enough to listen. But unfortunately, many of them are not.
That's true.
That is just one question. If you want, I can. That's just 2 or 3 questions I've asked. If you want, I can continue.
Yes, you're right. It's foolish for any human to. I listened. One of my favorite philosophers. I have one of his book here. It's called Cosmos. It's one of my favorite book. I just like his style of writing. He called it ontologie materialiste. Is in French. He says he's a radical materialist. He tried to explain everything according to science, according to nature, and everything.
I have an answer for him too, because I read materialism, and I got distinction in materialism.
Oh.
So I have an answer for him. It's a bit I cannot.
So he called himself a radical materialist.
Yes.
Even though he talked about an example where he went to India, I don't know which site, that he met a shaman.
Yes.
And this village, it was an improvised journey he had. No one was there to pre-warn them that you're expecting a visitor. He just traveled, just met some local people. And the man held his hand with his eyes closed and told him things about himself that he couldn't believe it. This is a philosopher. He told him that he's a philosopher. He told him about his career, his life, his wife, and things that will happen. He told him that he lost his father. So he was shocked. He was surprised that how could this man know so much about me? Did any person told him before I arrived here? But of course, this journey was unplanned. It just happened that I just met some locals, and this man is telling me about my life, and he told him things that will happen to him in the future. Yet, even after hearing this, he still doesn't believe on spirituality.
It has one explanation. So, it's called pride.
Yes, it's called pride. So I think it's very foolish for one has to come back to be humble, to look at nature, look at the force of nature. There's a place in Alaska, somewhere in the US, where two oceans met, but you discover that they have two different colors. But you'll be wondering what is holding them apart. The water, they don't mingle. We also have this same water in Nigeria, the River Oshun and the River Oshobo. For those who know about this, you will see that this water, they splash together, but they don't join each other. For Nigerians who know about this, so you ask yourself questions: what is the force behind this? What is the law that is holding these things? So it's foolishness to say there's no God. And my problem is the concept of that God that I want to know constantly. And I keep reading the Bible. I see a lot of errors. I don't know. I call them errors, at least to my own understanding. Probably, I don't know much. Probably there was no better explanation. Probably my scope of understanding is very limited. And I need better understanding. I need better explanation to say, okay, yes, this is how it works. Or probably I need some kind of spiritual experience, some lightning, I don't know, some dreams, some vision, probably to be able to believe that these things.
Just a little bit of common sense, my brother. If you want, I could ask you another common sense question.
Yes, go on, Daisy.
And that's why I said I wrote this book for the toughest atheists that will ever live on the planet Earth. I have it in Russian, but I'm going to get it in English. I'm going to translate it to English, and I'm going to challenge all atheists, all people who doubt my God, to try to answer me. They've been asking questions and challenging Christians, and here come I coming to challenge them. Next question.
Yes.
Next question is this.
Okay.
Who determine the date and the time of your birth? Elementary question. Elementary.
Yes, the question sounds simple. It's very, very complicated to answer.
Sounds simple but complicated to answer. Okay?
Yes, exactly. So
you will not tell me who determined the date you are supposed to come to this world?
Certainly not.
You will not tell me who determined the time when you were born?
No. So I cannot tell you who determined when I go back to.
You can't?
And I cannot tell you who determined that I come out as a human being and not a fish or a tiger or some lizard. I don't know.
You cannot.
I cannot tell.
Is that cutting you back to size?
Well, science offers certain solution about it. Religion too.
Well, that's why I'm asking the question. I want to ask the biggest of the scientists to give me an answer to those.
That's tricky.
That's why, because these are the questions that I'm asking, and I've written a whole book about these things to help cut to size all pride of men that think that they know anything. So, another question that is connected to that, if you cannot tell me
yes,
the place of your birth and who determined it, which you also admitted that you didn't play a role in determining the place and the conditions of your birth.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me answer you that the place and condition of your birth, including the date and time of your birth, is connected to the destiny and purpose or reason for your birth. Which means if you cannot tell me the answers to those questions, You can also not tell me the explanation for your appearance. Well, somebody knows the answer. And that answer is intertwinedly connected to why you're here. And that's why we cannot know too much to neglect our manufacturer. Because manufacturer determines the purpose of the product and the functionality of the product.
True.
So the product will be extremely arrogant to now say, who are you, the manufacturer? I am the big guy here. The reason why you said you don't know the answers to those questions is the same reason why any product, this cup, for example, will never ever dare to challenge the factory that made it.
Okay.
Because it doesn't even know the conditions of its appearance. Same with this microphone. Because it's not made for itself. It didn't even know when the decision to make it was made. Because the product is always much inferior to the manufacturer. And the product, just like you, could never ever be able to explain. And would never ever be able to explain. Because they belong in this different category and different dimensions altogether. They live in different realms. The producer and the product. That explains the reason why, like I once told you, why your mouth is not on your head, on the top of your head, or on the sole of your feet. Because somebody who put all that together had put everything in a way that only he could make them to function to that perfection. And that's why all the medical institutions in the world are still trying to explain and even understand what makes us tick. Okay? If you don't know how you came about, the conditions of your appearance, that is to say, you just discovered yourself here. You just discovered that you are living. That's why every human being who just discovered that they are here and they are existing must humble themselves enough to bow down and stoop low to acknowledge that fact that, okay, I just discovered I'm here, so, hey, who sent me here? And what do you want me to know about this life, and what is your purpose of sending me here? What do you wish for me to accomplish? And it takes humility to be able to do that. And that humility is what men most often despise to their own detriment. If you wish for me to continue with my questions, I could as well continue, sir.
Yes, it's very interesting. It's a very provocative question. I hope this question is not just directed to me, but it's directed to the people that are listening to us and to those who will come across this interview in the future times. It's very important that we ask ourselves this question and try to find the answer to it. As it is right now, the only thing, the only concept, the only idea that seems to provide answers to some of this, just like the African religion couldn't answer some of this question, neither does Islam that came later, or Buddhism or other religion. Christianity tends to offer a solution to answers to some of these questions. but it's still questionable. That's what some of us are battling with. You cannot expect me to believe on a literature work that the person who created me, like the previous interview that we had, it was very tough to be able to admit that this, because we talked about the complexity of the universe, we talked about the complexity of the human anatomy, the nature of the animals, the things that are there. The Bible seems just pretty much very little to explain this deity, this energy that made human. That is the problem that we have today, that the Bible is not sufficient enough to explain this transcendent energy that we have. So it's not all about, of course, every human should. The only evidence we have right now is the Bible. The Jesus Christ never commissioned anyone to write his work, for instance. He never commissioned anyone. And when he just came in to do his assignment, some people happened accidentally to be writing and recording some of the things he was doing, and that was how everything was collected. But he never commissioned anyone to write it. He just wanted it's like a passage for that specific period of time, and for the people who live in that epoch to be able to experience him. What I'm demanding,
if you feel that my questions will help you to think,
yes,
I may as well continue asking those questions.
Okay, sure.
If they might help you in the future.
Yes, it will help me, certainly.
So, you say I should continue?
Yes, continue the question.
The next question for you, sir, and not just for you, but for anybody that dare to question the God of the universe. And this might be the greatest help any atheist, agnostic, or free thinker will ever get. Because somebody is compiling questions for them to think about. Just like they like to challenge Christians and Christianity, well, let them think about these things. Very elementary stuff. Just like they ask elementary questions like, where is God from? But if they would think properly, they would know that even in these my questions, there consists in itself the answers to their questions to Christians. And so here comes the next question.
Okay.
What role did you play in determining who was supposed to be your father and mother?
Of course not. I couldn't have played any role. I might as well say that I came in, happens to be here by accident, certainly. I cannot explain what happened, where I was before I came in here.
You can't?
So here am I.
You can't explain?
Of course not.
You didn't know, you didn't play any role. You are so knowledgeable and you couldn't play any role. You are so big, you are such a big man, so educated, and you couldn't give me explanation? You couldn't play any role? You mean that all the scientists, all the writers, all the great philosophers, they are so powerless in even determining or providing answer or solution to questions that are some of the most vital to their own very life? Now, there are so many questions I could come asking. I could come asking and telling you questions and making points about the galaxies that are over 500 billion. And I could begin to ask you, why is the Earth, 500 million times smaller than the smallest galaxy? I could begin to ask you questions that don't pertain to you, but that will just make you to be feeling like you know something. So let's say you didn't play any role in the formation of the galaxies, because you are not big enough for that, and because you could say that doesn't pertain to you. Let's say you couldn't play any much role in matters of existence, like the explanation for day and night, and the explanation for eternity and things like that. Let's say those things are too big. But I'm now talking about matters that are the closest matters to you as a human being. They are probably, you know, earlier on before I came online, I was talking to you about education, about university. Now, those are things that you could say they don't 100% depend on you, because other people there, the university has a director or, you know, a counselor, and you know, people take decisions. So it's not in your power. You live in a country that you cannot decide what the president will say or the parliament will decide. There are things that are beyond you as a human being. But fewer things are as important to you yourself, even more important to you than your child, more important to you than your wife, more important to you than the house where you live in. The very things that are closest to your heart, that are most pertinent to your personality. That just like saying that, as you know, you wake up in the morning and brush your teeth. That is how these things are so close and are so important to your individual personality. Everybody cares about their teeth, how they look, about their skin. Everybody cares about their good look, about their names, their identity. So if you pay attention, you will realize that the questions I'm asking are the questions that directly relate to your personality and identity. You cannot say you are not interested in them, because they are the things that they inform who you are. They are the questions that determine your personality yourself. You cannot say you are not interested. You cannot say, you know, those things don't pertain to you. You cannot say that those questions are, you know, questions that are too far away from you. So that's why I'm bringing it home. Why are you trying to discover where God is? God is far. And who is God when you cannot determine who are you? I'm not saying go and determine who Angel Gabriel is, or who Satan is, or who continent something is, or who, you know, those ones are too big for you. Let's start from you. Let's determine who you are. Let's ask you questions about yourself. Things that should pertain to you. If you as anybody, if you are anybody of significance in reference to God or in pertaining to God, anybody in their common sense would have said, I would have liked to inform. I would have liked to determine myself who my parents are. If I was as powerful, if I was as significant, it would have been something that I would have liked to pick. Out of the 5 billion people on earth, I would have liked to be the one to pick and to make that choice. Because it's my life, my dear. It's my life. It's not my parents' life. It's going to be my life. So my parents shouldn't decide that thing. It should be me to decide it. It's my life. You know, it's not my parents or even my country that should decide for me where I will be born. I want to know where I will be born. I want to be the one to decide where I will be born, because I will live the life, my dear. But if even in this absolutely obvious and absolutely, you know, personal questions of identity, I am helpless, absolutely helpless in influencing, not even in taking the decision, but even in influencing the question or the decision, then how helpless am I? Because I couldn't even help. Okay, let me ask you another question. What about the colors of your eyes? At least those are very, very personal. Or colors of your skin. Why didn't you play a role in determining that one? Because that is very personal. Because you carry it all with you. For all the time you are going to be here, you are going to be forced to live with these things. And how can you be forced and be humiliated and be submitted and be subjected to things that you didn't pay attention, you didn't play a role in, and you still say you are in charge? If you couldn't even take the decision on when and how and where. So what do you know then?
Nothing.
It's very bright. So you are a very honest seeker. Because many people are not honest enough because of arrogance. They will not be honest enough to even answer that question. We are so limitless. You should know that even the ability for you to question anything, you don't decide it. It is because somebody else